Hurricane Katrina was a tropical storm that struck the southeastern United States in August 2005. It was first formed from a tropical wave and remnants of a previous tropical depression. It was the 11th tropical storm of the year. It is the largest and the third strongest hurricane ever recorded. It made landfall in Florida, Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Katrina first touched down on August 23, 2005 as a tropical depression over the Bahamas as a Category 3 storm. Then, it made landfall between Miami and Fort Lauderdale, Florida as a Category 1 storm. It was on land for less than 8 hours before moving towards the Gulf of Mexico where it intensified. On August 29th, it made landfall as a Category 4 storm in Louisiana, 45 miles south of New Orleans. Later that day, it hit Mississippi as a storm surge 26 miles high. The average elevation of New Orleans is lower than sea level, leaving it at a greater risk of flooding. Mayor Ray Nagin issued the first ever mandatory evacuation and declared that the Superdome would be used as a shelter of last resort. By nightfall, 80% of the population had evacuated. Tens of thousands of other residents decided to wait the storm out at home like they had done in the past. It rained for hours before the hurricane even hit. City officials announced that they had dodged the bullet, but storm surges soon overtook the levees and drainage canals. By 9 a.m., many places were overtaken with water, and people had to escape by climbing into attics and on rooftops. By afternoon, 20% of the city was underwater, and eventually 80% was underwater. In Mississippi, 28-foot storm surges flooded 12 miles inland. Just like in New Orleans, people escaped by climbing into attics and on rooftops, as well as climbing up tall trees. Towns were 90% flooded within hours. The first round of evacuees arrived at the Red Cross shelter in Houston, Texas on August 31st. Over 30,000 people were still left in the Superdome and 25,000 more in the convention center. There were shortages of food and water, and daily temperatures spiked into 90 degrees. Bacteria-rich floodwater and lack of basic sanitation led to a public health emergency. There was so much debris that if you piled all of it into a football field, it would pile up more than 10 miles high. Hurricane Katrina claimed more than 1,800 lives. Federal Emergency Management Agency emergency teams, National Guard troops, and American Red Cross volunteers and response vehicles were all sent to aid in rescue and recovery. Dozens of countries contributed funds and supplies, and Canada and Mexico both sent troops to the coast to help clean up and rebuilding processes. In New Orleans, many people felt that they could stay at home like they had done for previous storms, but the failure of the levees led to 80% of the city flooding. Most everyone was without power and telephone, and the water was unsafe to drink. The Coast Guard rescued around 34,000 people in New Orleans. The last of the floodwater was pumped out on October 11, 2005, a full 43 days after Katrina hit. Katrina led to $160 billion in damages in New Orleans and $125 billion in damages in Mississippi. Katrina is the largest and the third strongest hurricane ever recorded to make landfall in the U.S. It devastated the environment of the coastal region of the Gulf Coast. Katrina caused a 29% population drop in New Orleans alone in the following years. It left those remaining with great mental and physical health devastations, and it is considered one of the costliest natural disasters in U.S. history. Back to you, Dr. Hall.